Hi, Darrell. My name is Zarina Musa. I'm from a company called Platinum Business Solutions. Liesel knows me because I'm in another class that she's also facilitating.
Okay.
My main reason for doing this course is the fact is that I want to branch. I'm a final year law student at UNISA, um, and I'm a director in a business a consultancy company, but we are branching out now into mediation given the change in legislation, but also because I'm a firm believer in alternative dispute resolution. The reason why I chose to do this course in conjunction with the labor law course I'm currently doing with UCT Law at Works is that I want to take my business online. Obviously now with COVID, there's been a lot of focus on just how a lot of avenues have opened up in terms of accessibility, the market, but more importantly, affordability for a lot of people as well. Because as a labor consultant, I mean, I've been doing that for the past 4 years, but my experience has been a lot around accessibility, but more about affordability as well. So my aim is to provide an online service to an online legal service for people that for more startups, SMEs, MMEs, people who find difficulty in affording any type of legal service. So it's about taking my sort of the legal skill which I have, but more focused on labor matters as well, but also to go into business mediation as well. So my reason is to find ways and opportunities of ensuring that the business model that I formulated is actually something that's going to be profitable, it's going to be sustainable, but also just to sort of to find skills which I possibly do have, but how I can actually create an opportunity to allow people to access those skills online, especially because we want to take our market more globally, and that's the reason why I chose to do this course as well.
Love it. I love it. I'm going to like you. I'm going to like all of you, but I love the fact you thought through your idea. So you've moved from idea plan, idea, obviously, to something more concrete. Just really quickly, just as kind of just a yes or
Yeah.
no. You've written this down, I
Yes.
take it. Yeah, I can tell.
No, that's basically where I'm at the moment, because that's also the reason why
Wait a minute,
I'm
hold
doing
on.
the
Did you
labor.
write this down? Hold on. Just yet. Did you write
Yes.
it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm surprised. It's so well thought out. That write that for next time. Just really quickly, I'll give you more
Okay.
on that later. Please write what you said because that's very clear. And this is what we'll talk about for everybody. By the end of the 7 weeks, I want you to walk out with a more clear, defined thing of where you see what you want to work in. So, because we want to go from just idea to this is something more concrete. But Zareen, I kind of wrote a few things down, but more specifically, I'm seeing a lot, I'm hearing you say a lot about um, being in business consultancy role. Um, Congratulations on about to graduate, by the way, too. Just wrote that down. But business consultancy roles and how to sort of maybe even dovetail that with ADR or alternative dispute resolution. Um, Obviously, the online legal service, I already mentioned that. That's pretty concrete. The other thing I want to point out that I noticed you set up at least 3 times, opportunity, opportunity. And I just want to throw that out for everybody. I think that's a beautiful word. And I think the fact that all of you have come, one, you paid, you came, you've shown up, you're here. The first video I'm gonna show you today is about showing up, says that I'm ready for the opportunity. You know, many times it's not just the information. It's not that we need the network. It's that we need to see the opportunity and seize it. So I hear what you say when you say you're looking for the opportunity. What I also want to help you to do is spot the opportunity. You know, sometimes the thing is, have you ever looked for something and it's like right in front of you and it's like, and I want to help you see, kind of going back to Infama, who talks about monetizing and leveraging the knowledge and skills. I want to help you see how to use it. It might be right in front of you now, and you're hoping, praying, crying about what else you need, but it might be right in front of you. So I'm going to help you see the opportunities. So thanks,
Um,
Lynn.
I, because I have been attending, because one of the areas we do want to really make our core focus is negotiation and mediation. And what I've done is I've actually signed up for an additional course for mediation online, actually how to run a business, a mediation business online for mediators, given the fact that it's a huge business opportunity for legal advisors, for attorneys, as well as for
Yeah,
mediators who
that's
don't
definitely
have.
wonderful. Zarina, that's
Mm.
great. I don't want to cut you off, but I'm gonna have to because I want to make sure I get to everybody. Hold on to that because I'm gonna ask some very targeted questions in the sessions coming up. But yeah, it's definitely powerful that you have something so formulated. Who's the next person?
Yeah, I think I could go next.
Okay.
So my name is Victor Amadi, and
Victor, okay.
yeah, so I'm a postdoctoral research fellow at UCT. Um,
Oh, wow.
so why I'm doing this, I think personally the course just came to my attention. My director actually drew my attention to the course first and foremost. But just generally, I tend to think to now I'm within research, but then I'm looking to pursue practice at some point. But the question now for me, I feel lawyers are not really entrepreneurial, so we don't really have that mindset to be, business persons, so to speak. So yeah, just to get a sense of, how to make that shift, just from being that person that argues cases and, and be very innovative with, just cite those opportunities that are around us, like you mentioned.
Yes, yes, I appreciate that, Victor. That's a powerful name, by the way. That's a powerful name. So postdoctoral research fellow, just really quickly, just as a point of curiosity, what does that look like? So you're a doctor then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So wow. Okay. So and what other, because I'm not familiar with that over there, what other range of opportunities would that open up that perhaps just having a law degree wouldn't?
For myself, the opportunities I could lecture for one. I could also become a consultant with university or various international organizations relating to my field.
Okay.
I could generally go into practice. So the opportunities are quite enormous for myself.
But I got it. But so this is what I want you to do. Just like I asked Zarina already to bring something next week, which is to write that down for you, the assignment. I want you to research, and I really want you to come back written with specifically things that you can do with a doctorate that you could not do with just a law degree. So some of those things you mentioned, like being a consultant, I know you can also be with, maybe not a specific role, you see. So because I really want to tap into that. You went a little bit higher, you went a little bit deeper. So I want to make sure that we explore that. When I say deeper, I mean with your studies. So let's see what other doors you can open up. Again, we're talking about leveraging what we have. Everybody write this down. One of my favorite quotes, Theodore Roosevelt, do what you can with what you have where you are. That's entrepreneurship. This is everything I'm going to show you, how to build from where you are, not from where you want to be. If I had more money, if I had another degree, if mama liked me. No. We're going to talk about right where you are, how to leverage that. Okay, so I didn't want to get too stuck on that. So you're in research and you're talking about wanting to practice, but also I hear this, I hear you saying, Victor, which I like, lawyers, which is true, aren't necessarily trained to be entrepreneurial. I graduated from Harvard Law School at 24. So when I graduated at 24, I thought I was, big stuff and all that. Moved to New York City right out of, I graduated on Thursday. I was literally in New York City on a Friday because my thing was, I don't want to practice. I'm going to write books. This was one of the books that was out. So I'm going to put out books. I'm going to, speak all over the world. I'm just going to do my thing. And it did not quite happen that way because having a degree from Harvard does not an entrepreneur make. And it took a lot of sadness and brokenness to get there. So what I'm going to share with you really is some of the lessons. You know, I had a mentor that said, Darrell, you can learn from me 20 years of hardship just from one conversation. So through these 7 weeks, I'm going to be walking you through in real time, not something I read in a book, because I didn't, because you're absolutely right. Last thing I want to point out, you said, Victor, and I think I mentioned this with, let me get it right, because I should have written it down, getting to know myself better. I think it was Infama, pivot. You didn't use the word, but that's what I keep, pivot. And even I said to him, I've seen pivoting. So because I hear you saying shifting to that mindset, this is not just about a class. This is for everybody. This is a way of thinking. This is a way of structuring even how I enter into negotiations with a 9-to-5 job. How can I now, for instance, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I want to show you how to structure it. So maybe how I can go to a company and say, or school and say, pay me as a consultant as opposed to an employee, because already I want to show you how to own your time, how to own your professional space. But it's a changing in mindset. It's not just about a more of a paycheck. You can have more of a paycheck and never be an entrepreneur because it doesn't shift to that mindset. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Okay. Okay, who's next? Thank you for that, Victor. How about Kate? Oh, go ahead, sorry.
There we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. There was always that awkward silence. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I just had a little bit of a problem. So I had to log back in again and everything kept on freezing.
Oh, it's okay. I thought it was something I said.
No, nothing personal. Sorry. I've actually just taken the video off. I'll just have to see why. I think that's what was causing the problem. So maybe the signal's a bit stronger. Thank you. I was very, very interested from the first time I saw the course title last year, and then this year decided to take the leap. I've been in practice for most of my career, and I've only a year ago gone outside of it, and I'm actually in an entrepreneurial space at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic. And I thought, why the heck didn't I get it right to be here 20 years ago? So I love the idea. I've now been through this second sort of recession during my working career, and I realized that one cannot have all your eggs in one basket. And I think there are a million opportunities out there that, especially with all the changes that everybody's gone through, and there's so many parts of law that do need adjusting, working on, and I'm hoping to consolidate that and definitely bring it to monetization, because that's also a big need currently, must be honest. Yeah, and also
Yes.
Zarina, I'm very interested in mediation as well. I love learning and I do it continuously. And I've done, well, it's not court mediation, but I've done family law mediation. And it's definitely something that needs to be taken forward. Our court system can't cope. Oh, sorry, also speaking from South Africa with the load. And there's huge sort of support, as far as I can see, for mediation in all aspects. So that's me. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you. You didn't say your name first. What's your name?
Oh,
Sheila?
I'm Shelly.
Shelly. Oh, I was going to say, let me make sure. Shelly. Okay, Shelly. So thank you for that. So you practiced most of your career, which is phenomenal. And I like how you say you made the shift and wondered why didn't I do it earlier? I always say that. When people get into this, it's like, yeah, it's a little more struggle, but you say, really? Was I ever doing the other way before? You talked about monetizing, obviously monetization, and you know, this love of mediation, love of learning, and how to sort of maybe even turn that into some level of monetization. But the thing that really stuck out to me that I really want to touch on for everybody is that sense of, and this is something you and I share, Shelly, obvious. We might all share it, but I like that you spoke on it, that depth of life experience. And I like how you said, been through a second recession, right? So that what we're talking about now is the durability in life. The Hebrews call it chutzpah, because that's what part of it, you can't talk about entrepreneurship without that. People always talk about vision, idea, all that. But then there's grit, then there's stick to itness, then there's, you know, when all hell breaks loose, can you hold on to it? So I love kind of hearing you be thoughtful about the fact that okay, yeah, you've experienced, going through recession, but the world has too. And where maybe can your desire and even skills meet the world's need? I want everybody to be thinking about that. Because I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, people can think in a box, in a bubble, their dream, their goal, rather than, wait a minute, no, it's about meeting a need for the world. So I like that you pointed out, we've been through, a recession, or we've been through a lot recently. So thanks for that, Shelly.
Thanks. Thank you.
So there's 3 other folks, right? Was it 2 others? No, 2 others.
Okay, I'll go. My name is Musiso.
Okay.
I am
Say that one more
a-
time. Can you say it one more time?
Sibusiso.
Sibu. Okay.
Yeah, you can call me Sibu or Sbu, whatever is easier for you.
Okay.
I have been a legal advisor for over 20 years. I gained experience in commercial type agreement work over that period of time. It's something I enjoy and which I think I do reasonably well. But in my mind, I'm also thinking of opportunities of, yes, I'm employed, which is good, but I would like, if possible, to use that skill for myself and not just be employed. And particularly, I have some ideas, and because the world is changing and all of that, there's a shift, obviously, to more online type services. So there are some thoughts in my mind, but I haven't come to a point where I can say, if you wake me up tomorrow, I know exactly how I would implement what is in my mind. So I'm trying to, how shall I put it? Synchronize my experience with the ideas that I have and put it into practice. That's a kind of high level summary.
Sorry, can you say it one more time? I like that word. You want to synchronize. Say the rest, please. I'm writing this down.
Okay, I'm saying I'd like to synchronize my experience with the ideas that I have, which are not yet fully developed. But I know that if I work on them more, they probably could generate money or income for me over a period of time. It's not something that would just take off overnight, but it would require some time and effort being put into it, which I'm prepared to do. But yeah, I'm just trying to tie the two up. And this is why I got interested in this course, because it could broaden my thinking and perhaps make me see things which I hadn't realized before.
Thank you for that, Sibu. I really appreciate that. This has really got me excited. First video we're going to watch, you'll get why I say what I'm about to say. You're trying to get into the arena. You're in the seats. You'll get what I mean in about 20 minutes, but you want to get to the arena. I'm with you. I'm going to help you get to the arena, Sibu. Now, you said you're a legal advisor for 20 years. And I want to speak to this really quickly, Sibu. Don't do what a lot of people do. Excuse me. I don't know why my phone. Give me 1 second. Let me just turn it off. It's like, I want to make sure I'm complete. I thought the phone was off. I want to speak to everybody here with this. Give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you. Totally. I want to speak to you on this. Don't do take the limits off. I want to say this first. Just before I say this, why did I say that to you, Sibu? What did you say to me that is making me say to you and to really everybody, take the limits off?
It's difficult. I guess it's a blind spot. I don't know what I said, which triggered that response.
Okay.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking I'm trying to expand, and you're saying I've got limits, which I'm expressing.
Oh, so, you got some limits. That can somebody, because this is a circle, right? This is a circle of trust. We're going to all It's not me just sharing. We're all helping each other. Somebody take yourself off mute and share, because what you shared, Siobhan, I appreciate you sharing it, in vulnerability. What you shared, I guarantee you, at least 3 other people on this call feel. What did he say that it is a limiting thought that I want to speak against right now before we go further? The business, it can't really, I know it's not going to take off. Who told you that? I know I got to put in the work. You spent 20 years putting in the work. Don't, no, I'm serious.
No, I'm listening. It's just interesting to get that kind of response.
I want you to see this. I know I want to empower you. Okay? You have put in the work and you're going to continue to put in the work. But you can put out one speech and it changed your life. One product and it changed your life. One book. You have 20 years of adding value to the world. I don't want to overlook that and now act like we're starting from scratch because you met me this morning or there this afternoon. So it's really late for you there. At least if it was morning here, we could pretend like it's the beginning of the process. You know? So and I want to speak against for everybody that spirit, that's what it is, that speaks in your mind. Well, yeah, this is nice, but you really can't do it, or it's going to take, no. So I want to speak against that first. Okay. You said, I don't want to just be employed. I want to tell you the difference between being employed and, everybody write this down, being deployed. That's what this course is about. Because you can be employed your whole life and never get deployed. There has to be more to life than I just came here, paid rent or mortgage on the house I'm gonna leave back anyway. Like, really? That's all I'm gonna do? So when we talk about employment, we're talking about our job. We're talking about our 9 to 5. We're talking about how we get paid. We're talking about skills. We're talking about resume. We're talking about you when you go to school and they say, what do you want to be, and all of that stuff. That's nice. That's a job. But when we switch and start talking about work, not a job, we're talking about not employment, we're talking about deployment. That's what I was put on earth to do. That's different. My work is what I was put on earth. My job is only a piece of my work. Most people never get from job to work. That's why they never go from employment to deployment. Hence, they never own their professional life. That's what I'm teaching you to do, to own. I don't even want to use that word entrepreneur because that has its own connotation. I want to show you how to begin to own. This doesn't mean entrepreneur, I'm separate from everybody, I work for myself, whatever that means. I mean, you still got to deal with people. The shifting in the mindset is now almost like a wheel, a hub, if you will. Everything I do now shoots off from that. My job, you know, if I have an organization, I have this passion, oh, you know, I have this commitment I'm doing, because all of it is centered from my work. Yeah. Because that's the place of deployment.
Okay. So you're talking more about purpose.
About what?
You're talking more about purpose, finding your purpose, and if you can, making it pay for you.
Oh, I love that. And then we'll move on. Thank you for that. Not if you can. When you find your purpose, the provision is there. Provision is always at the place of purpose. Think about it. The root word of provision is vision. I'm showing you how to create vision. Vision always leads and provision falls in line. People ask for provision, but they have no vision. I need more money. I want a bigger house, but you have no vision. Once I get you to have a vision, not an idea, not a thought, not something I wrote on a screen of paper, these 7 weeks, a vision. Without a vision, that people fail, then provision comes. Trust me, Sibu, you find purpose, provision runs after you. Goodness and mercy will chase after you. You won't have to chase after it. All right. Kate.
Okay. No, thanks. That's interesting.
Thank you.
That's why I came back, Darrell. That's what I came back for.
I got more for you. Thank you, Rahima. Are you frozen, Kate? Oh, okay, there you go. Kate is out. Last but not least.
Sorry, folks, just coming off mute. Good morning, Darrell.
Good morning.
I'm one of the folks that is maybe on the same continent as you, coming to you from Washington, D.C.
Okay, so that's why I said morning. Yes, same time.
And good afternoon to all of my my South African colleagues and friends. So to answer your two questions, Darrell, I wrote them down so that I actually answered them directly. Why did I take this course? I liked the name of the title. So you piqued my interest, and then I opened up the syllabus or the itinerary part, and there was nothing there. So I thought, well, wow, this is interesting. What's this guy going to do in 7 weeks? So you got my curiosity going by not having a module by module outline. So which I think also kind of clicked in my entrepreneurial thinking of, okay, let's give this a whirl. Let's see what this is about. Little bit about me and what I'm trying to get out of this is I've been practicing law for 25 years. I'm currently general counsel at a pretty large organization. It's my third in-house role. The first 10 years of my career I spent in private civil practice. I have dual nationality, so I'm American and South African. Father, yeah. Mother is actually British. American is a third nationality. Anyway, long story. I'll tell you guys sometime one of the other sessions. Anyway, for me, I've worked for 11 years in South Africa, covering Southern Africa and Eastern Africa on the job. And I've worked obviously for 18 or so years in the US. I'm stuck here right now because of COVID. Normally I would be traveling back and forth. What I want to get out of this training or exercise is a couple of things. I want to learn a bit more about what the business opportunities, options are that other folks in this legal room that we're in are thinking about, particularly from a South African perspective. Because 2022, I'm going to pivot out of my GC role. I'm done with practicing law for in a job sort of format. And I have a bunch of ideas, some of which are quite well developed, some of which are not. And I intend to do some business kind of, I guess, engagements or develop my new path forward with a two-continental approach, so US and South African. So looking to see what others are doing, and frankly, whether there are synergies with anyone on this call or with a broader network in terms of bringing some of these legal businesses, technologies, and platforms together. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kate. And I would love to just continue to explore. I love that dual continent approach. I mean, even beyond just the citizenship, but even what I hear you saying, being very aware of the fact that your experience sits on two continents and not being forced to choose between one or the other. And actually seeing that there might be even an amalgamation, a point that is unique, that almost like meshes that one side that's purely American or one side that's purely even British, are you saying, or purely even South African couldn't get it. It almost might be a try sort of thing. You might even want to, let's explore even as I said, that a triangle, almost this European American, because my sense is, I know not as much about European law in general, but I know the Commonwealth law in British is slightly different. So have you done, let me ask you that, have you done some exploring with the barristers and what
well, it's common law, British English common law is the same as South African. They got Roman Dutch in South Africa mixed in as well, and US law is a civil code, right? So there's different legal regimes. I haven't done once upon a time I thought of taking the transition, the bar, to get into the UK and Wales bar, etc. I want to live in England. Sorry English people. And it's expensive, and now Brexit, and I don't know where it's all going. Got
it. Okay.
So I sort of, thinking more for me, the US Africa.
Okay.
Train is a little bit of a easier, avenue.
Let's put that on the shelf because you mentioned it, and with now the virtual world, I feel like in 2022. Going to London is going to be as easy as right now I am here in South Africa with all of my friends and colleagues there. So just let's keep that there as a thought. 25 years practicing law, looking for other business opportunities. I heard you say it several times, particularly in South Africa, but for this class, but overall in life, you know, this dual continent approach. Now in sales, and I know Rahima knows, you know, that part of my work is in sales because we talked about that with persuasive speaking. In sales, we are taught to look for what they call the one thing. And the one thing is, I see you kind of shaking your head, Kate. People will say a lot of things. In fact, the VP of sales puts it like this. Most people will tell you everything that they want because that doesn't make them feel vulnerable. You have to hear the need. What's the one thing they're really concerned about? It usually doesn't come first. And it's one thing you said, and everything, even your tone of voice shifted when you said that. What's the one sentence you said that I was like, I even wrote this down because I was like, oh yeah, she's serious about this. Did anybody catch where you said?
No, I certainly haven't figured out my sales pitch, so I can't tell you the answer.
I know you can't. I know. I'm always okay. So I don't know if anybody caught it. In 2022, that GMC, I'm done. Even the way you said it affirmatively, I wrote that down as a star. That's her one thing. That everything else, because think of even how you said it. When we speak with certainty, our language projects that. See, Rahima knows this because my whole thing in the other master class was all about communication. So I'm listening with everything that, you know, and I'm hearing you say, but that's powerful. So I know that listen to this, agreement is the place of power. I know that you're in agreement with yourself that is going to happen. At the moment of commitment, Johann van Gogh said, the universe conspires for your success. You are committed. That I know if I never saw you again, I could say 3 years from now, oh yeah, she's not in that role because she made that. So now I want to we need to see how to get everything else is certain around what that looks like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you're spot on the money because like it's a conviction, it's an absolute, it will happen next year. What it'll look like, I have no idea, but it'll happen.
And that place, you know what, I'm so glad you went last. Because that's the perfect place to start where I want to pick. It really is. It really is. It's the place of commitment. You know, and everything that I'm going to share with you is nobody can be committed. Nobody can make you committed, you know? And sometimes what happens is I know people come to me and even in a lot of my coaching sessions, people want me to tell them what they already know. You know, they want you to tell them they knew for 5 years they were supposed to start the business. They don't need me to tell them that. They knew 3 years ago they were supposed to have moved out of that city. They knew a year ago they were supposed to take that different class. And so part of this class, what I'm going to share with you will be, knowledge, just knowledge, book stuff, right? That you probably can get that anywhere, but that has some value. Then there's that insight that I'm going to help show you a bit more of you just by holding up a mirror, by sharing stories, sharing real things. Then there's an experience piece, kind of like, all right, been there, done that. Some of the stuff I'm going to share with you because it's like I learned it the hard way. And it's just some things you just learn, except through experience. But then there's a piece of after all that, after everything's said, after the class, after whatever, you have to make the decision. Are you going to do it? And what do it means? And I love, again, I'm segueing right from what Kate said. Like you said, I'm using your words. I don't know what it'll look like. I don't know what it looks like for you now. You might even know what it is, but you may not just want to share it now because I get it. You know, you're getting to know us more, all that. But whatever that it is, once you come to that moment of commitment, that's really when the things change. So before I even tell you a little bit about my story and kind of open it up, I want to show you a quick video. It's a 3-minute video. Has anybody heard of someone named Brene Brown? I feel like you have, Kate, just because before you even shook your head, and I know you're in DC, and I'm sure you've heard some of her TED Talks, but has anybody else heard of Brene Brown?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So Shelly or Kate, can y'all just maybe tell us tell a group a little bit about who she is or what you know of her?
Kate, you want to go ahead?
No, go ahead, Shelly, please.
Just Brene Brown's all about research, shame, and vulnerability. And basically, she's tried to get people to understand that when you're vulnerable, being vulnerable is actually also the pathway to your strength as well.
You said that like absolutely beautifully. I want to actually pull this up as we speak. So what we're talking about is, let me just make sure. I want to show you. I know you might say, okay, what? Who starts a class on entrepreneurship
So I get
about vulnerability? Like, really? But if you haven't known by now, I'm a little bit of a different bird. Let me know if you can hear this clearly. Okay, I'm just going to play a second because I want to make sure the sound's right.
Laptop, and I do a search for who was president in the United States during the Downton Abbey era. Can you get like you're numbing
Yes.
with TV or a movie?
Everybody hears it?
Yes.
Yes,
Clearly?
thanks.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, I do just want to say, she says ass. That one word she does say, it is a curse word, so I want to prepare for that, but that's other than.
So I get my laptop and I do a search for who was president in the United States during the Downton Abbey era. Have you ever done that? Like you're numbing with TV or a movie, and so when it's over, you just like stay in that space by like learning more about the actors and what's going on. I've been doing this long enough to know this is like, you're laughing with me, not at me. So I put it in, and Theodore Roosevelt comes up, and a quote comes up. And I read it, and this is what it says. It's a quote from a speech that he gave in the early 1900s at the Sorbonne, and a lot of people call it the Man in the Arena speech. And this is the passage that changes my life. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done it better. The credit belongs to the person who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred with blood and sweat and dust, who, at the best, in the end, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who, at worst, if he fails daring greatly. So the moment that I read that, I closed my laptop, and this is what shifted in me. 3 huge things. First, I spent the last 12 years studying vulnerability, and that quote was everything I know about vulnerability. It is not about winning, it's not about losing, it's about showing up and being seen. The second thing, this is who I want to be. I want to create. I want to make things that didn't exist before I touched them. I want to show up and be seen in my work and in my life. And if you're going to show up and be seen, there is only one guarantee, and that is you will get your ass kicked. That is the guarantee. That's the only certainty you have. If you're going to go in the arena and spend any time in there whatsoever, especially if you've committed to creating in your life, you will get your ass kicked. So you have to decide at that moment, I think for all of us, if courage is a value that we hold, this is a consequence. You can't avoid it. The third thing, which really set me free, and I think Steve, my husband, would argue has made me somewhat dangerous, is kind of a new philosophy about criticism, which is this. If you're not in the arena also getting your ass kicked, I'm not interested in your feedback. Period. That's it. You know, if you have constructive information, feedback to give me, I want it. And I'm an academic, I'm hardwired for wrestling around with stuff like that. If you say, hey, you forgot all this literature, or hey, you should have done this, or terrible sentence construction over here, like, let's do it. I love that. But if you're in the cheap seats, not putting yourself on the line, and just talking about how I could do it better, I'm in no way interested in your feedback.
Okay. Perfect way to start a class, isn't it? Perfect way to start a class. I don't even want to start with that, from that. Somebody share, what did you feel? Forget entrepreneurship for a second. I know somebody said, I thought I signed up for entrepreneurship class and he hadn't taught me one thing about entrepreneurship yet. But what did you get from that video just in life?
Darrell, I just wanted to get up right now and go and do what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay, Sivu, do you see what I mean, Sivu, when I said I heard the longing for, you want to get out of the seat. You want to get in the arena, but you're gonna get your butt kicked. That's what she's saying. But the problem is most people never get deployed because there's safety in just being employed. That's what I want you to see, is safety in the seats. I mean, if you've ever been in a baseball game, you get angry if you're sitting too close. I mean, and you want to sit close, but you're angry the ball come over and you're mad. Like, it's a game. And imagine now if you're actually in the game. But it's safety in the seats. It's safety on the side. But once you start talking about deployment, it's a whole different thing. So this is the assignment for everyone for next week. What is your arena? What is your arena? And I want to make this practical. I want to make this very practical. I want everybody to take a piece of paper, and I want you to draw 3 circles interlocking, you know, sort of like the old, does this look right? The old Venn diagram. And, you know, you have, does that look right? Circle, circle. Yeah. I want you to do this. And I want you to put in one circle. I want you to put strengths. One circle, I want you to put skills. In this circle down here, the bottom circle, I want you to put, what do you think? I want you to put passions. That's how we're going to start this. And in the center, right here, because I want to make it plain for you, where the 3 intersect, that's the arena. That's what I want you to write. I want you to write the word arena there. So when you come next week, I want everybody to be able to talk to me, where's your arena? Where do my passions intersect with my strengths, intersect with my skills? Because the skill and the strength is different. My skill is what somebody taught me, I learned, and that's great. I went to school for that, all that, wonderful. But my strengths is what I was inherently good at. My strengths is what came through my family in some ways. My strengths, I can look 3 generations back and get a glimpse into my strengths. And I'm not going to just leave you with that. I'm not going to leave you hanging, like you said. I'm just giving you a piece. What we're going to start with at the place, because we're talking about agreement is the place of power. I want you to know your arena. A fish, remember I told you, let me give you another thing about the fish. So remember I talked about the fish. A lot of times the last one to realize it's out of, you know, it's in water. Well, a fish out of water doesn't know its season. I want you to know, where's your pond? A saltwater fish, you put it in the wrong pond, it'll die. And so sometimes we're stagnant, not because we're not good people, not because we don't have a great plan, not even because we don't have a network around us, but because we're in the wrong pond. So where's my arena? And I hear Sibu, that's why I heard you not just on a hearing level with my ear, but deeper, that longing for the arena. That's you, Kate, when you say, and you use the word conviction. Like, no, it's the arena because I have been called. And I use that word carefully because sometimes you use that word and then people think church and all these other words, but no, we're just speaking very deeply about vocation. All vocation is vocal, it's calling. It's something deeper than just, oh, I'll take the job. That's why at 40, there's a restlessness because you got the job, you got the degree, you got the money, you met that goal. You're successful. You know, this isn't like some classes that I teach, come back swinging, people are coming back from failure, all that. You've achieved levels of success. So this is a question of deployment, of pivoting, learning my work. So how do we start doing that? I want to start totally different from any other entrepreneurship class. I'm going to tell you how I started to prepare for it. I had a whole syllabus, so I want to go back to you, Kate. I appreciate you saying that. Intentionally, I did that. I had a whole syllabus from last time. And I looked at the syllabus and I said, okay, I've grown so much. I always seek to bring my A game. Why would I give you something old? Who wants an old biscuit? I mean, some people don't even like biscuits. So I said, okay, I could even give you a 2020 session or word for 2021, or let's kind of rebuild it. So part of what I'm even showing you is, even in real time, what pivot means. So when we talk about where do we start, I said, okay, let me go to Google and go to what entrepreneurship is. And my problem with a lot of what we hear about entrepreneurship is it's very self-aggrandizing. In fact, listen to the reasons why people want to be entrepreneurs. I don't want to work for nobody. You know, I've put in my dues, so to speak. So now this is sort of my right. So I even know they are approaching it from a very, like when people say work for yourself, I'm like, I don't even understand what that means. I really don't know who works for themselves. I mean, you at some point you have to go outside of yourself, right, to build either if it's a partnership or you have a contract. So I say that to say, like, I don't want to start from this very carnal place of just like what drives you. Okay, thank you. This is what I want to say really quickly. And then I want to lay the framework for where we're going. There's a difference between being driven and being drawn. Most entrepreneurship classes, they teach it from being driven. That's why I went to, you know, I had all these goals. I had all these goals as a kid. I'm gonna, you know, graduate as valedictorian, did that. Then after that, go right to law school, did that. I had all these, that's driven. That's, I mean, I don't have to explain that to you. Get in the car and you know, I have this and I what are my goals? What are my ambitions? But there's something more powerful than being driven. And how do I know it before I tell you what the next thing is? I know it because, again, how does the man or woman achieve all types of success as we understand success, but then still feel empty? Because drive doesn't bring fulfillment, or it brings wealth, it brings money. Those things are important. I'm not one of those things important, but that does not, because again, I want to give you a different distinction between success and significance. Success is about me, significance is me adding value to the world. And so what's happening is it's this real present sense of trying to understand, okay, why am I doing this? So let me give you the other distinction. There's driven, I'm driven. And as soon as I give you this, for the rest of your life, I want you to hear me in the back of my mind, in the back of your mind, when people say they're driven. There's driven and then there's drawn. See, I can be, anybody that's pushed the door versus pulled the door knows it's a complete difference. You can drive as much as you can, because for me to drive, I have to have gas. But when you start turning off from your job and go to your work, we go from being driven to drawn. It's an attraction that pulls me. Now, when we start talking about a purpose that's been plotted out for me before the beginning of time, now I'm moving into something that's so much bigger than me. Now things begin to conspire for my success. When my arena is not my choosing. I don't get to choose my arena. I want you to understand that. I can choose to step in my arena, but I don't choose my arena, because the arena is at the place of my strengths, which I did not give myself. I didn't give myself the strengths. You may be able to argue you taught yourself every skill you ever had, but when we do this whole module just on strengths, you know you didn't give yourself that. So wherever that came from, we don't need to get into a discussion about that now. Wherever that came from, that's a sign for where that drawing comes from. And once you get at the place of your arena, the magic of life happens. That's when now, even when your car is off because the gas, I'm giving you an illustration here, because I can't drive because I have no more gas, because I'm drawing, the car is still moving. And I still get to where I need to go to, because there's fulfillment there. There's significance there. It's not just success. It's not just about that I'm enriching me. So once I start looking at significance, that's when other people go on board. Who said the thing about provision? I want to go back to provision, When you start talking about a vision, a real vision is bigger than you. So I want to go back to that, because people say, well, I have a vision. No, it just includes you and your family. That's not a real vision. When you have a big enough vision, somebody that's a donor, an investor, a supporter, someone that's interested, because someone else in the world is plotting to change the world just like you are. Your vision helps as a honing beacon to the world to get the right people to you. But when my vision is only about my four, like they say here, and no more, then I can't join on to that. The moment, let me make it practical for you. The moment that I took Comeback Swinging out of just being a book about my personal story and what personally happened to me and personally coming back from failure, and it became www.comebackswinging.com, which is an organization to lift people up, that's when people started calling me and say, how can I donate? Because you don't donate to this. This isn't necessarily vision. It's the beginning of it, but this is about me. This is success. You buy my book, I get the royalties, look at me. But once we shift to significance, now I'm drawing. And if we're going to have a real serious conversation about entrepreneurship and about the place of arena in unlocking what's in you, we have to have a conversation about me and drawing. So let's talk about the landscape ahead. The landscape ahead is, first of all, we're going to dig deeper into strengths versus. So I'm just giving you the piece now that I want you to think about the next week. I want you to come back with what's my arena, but we're going to dig into that. The difference between strengths, skills, and then passions, because they start getting real interchanged real quick, especially when we start talking about entrepreneurship. If I ask what's the number one thing you do, what's the thing that if everything failed, you can make money doing? Invariably, when I ask more than 4 people that, somebody starts with, well, what I like to do. I didn't ask what you like to do. That's passion. And that's the problem. We start getting into an arena. It's an arena. It's not our arena. That's the problem. An arena that's only passion, but it doesn't touch. Let me go back to my Venn diagram because I want to make it clear for you. It doesn't touch strengths and passions. See, money is here. That's where provision is. I want to get you out of these outliers where it's just passion. Oh, I just love to do it. Well, it's a lot of things I like to do that I'm not gifted in. I have to be honest. I like to play basketball. I'm 5'8". You know the end of that story. Okay. So you gotta know you have to, so just because it's a passion, it doesn't mean that that's the place where I monetize. So for me, I ask myself, where's my strength? Where's the place where my strengths? I know I've been innately gifted with communicating. I just know that. Then where's my skills? Oh, I went to law school, right? I teased this thing all the way out. I learned this. You have that same thing. Maybe it's not, I don't know what, and then what am I passionate about? What do I feel strongly about? So when people see the outgrowth, which is, the companies and all of that, the outgrowth is because I'm sitting in my arena. But where's yours? You have it. It may be empty because maybe you're in a seat sitting in looking at somebody else's arena. But I don't even want to touch that because you might not come to my next class if I talk about that. So we're going to start there with the exploration of self. So we'll go from this strengths, skills, passions to then how do my personality types and my idiosyncrasies, how do those things play in? Because that plays into it. That's an important point. I'm gonna give you a little piece. Somebody showed me this and it's opened my whole life. What you are grieved about is a signal to what you are gifted to solve. I don't even want to say called to solve, gifted to solve. The thing that kind of grieves you that the next person's like, whatever, it's because it's something in you to maybe have. It's a sign of your arena. So I don't want to teach a class that's so much about strengths, skills, passions, that it's divorced from those idiosyncrasies. It's divorced from the fact maybe you like to talk a lot. That's a sign, not just that you're gifted with speaking, but also that maybe that's your arena. Where's the places in life even that you've struggled? Can I tell you something? The place where you struggled the most is probably the place where you can have the greatest amount of power. That's why you struggled the most there. Because you can't help anybody with anything that you are not in some way touched by, because you can't be passionate and people can't connect when it's just an intellectual space. So even we don't want to run from that. We want to be respectful of that. Imagine Oprah without not just addressing the history of sexual abuse in her life, but without her moving into that space as a place of healing for others. I don't think she would have ever been Oprah if she just would have taken that and just said, well, I healed from that and that's that. She recognized it was something deeper. I got freedom from it, but now I've been drawn, not driven. I've been drawn. Let's take Sarah Breedlove, who the world knows as Madam C.J. Walker, but she was born as Sarah Breedlove. Losing her hair, she figures out how to concoct things in her kitchen and grow her own hair back. Yes, that made me drive, But then it's a drawing that says, there's other people that lost their hair just like you. There's other people, Cebu, who also are trying to get in the arena. Trust me, they are. There's other people, Kate, who are similarly extremely successful where they are from the outside, but they are groaning to make a shift. So once you get out of that, I don't want you to forget how you feel, because now part of that entrepreneurship is connected to pulling others along the way. That's going to bring the provision. Because somebody, once you come out, is going to say, I'll pay you $10,000 to coach me how to get the heck out of this place too. I had a law job for a summer, and I said, I just can't do it. So there's provision there. I'm not just talking passion, oh, you love to do it. No, this is turning into a business, right, where people seek. So let me stop there, because I know I'm probably pulling like a lot. Let me take a room check. Where are we? What are you thinking?
Perhaps I may start. Just looking at those 3 circles, my problem is I'm now talking in real details in terms of the homework that you've given us. I know my passions, I know my skills, and I probably know my strengths. But if you say I must indicate the arena, how my problem is this. I know those 3 things, but I don't know where they intersect. Now, for purposes of next week, I'm just trying to figure out in what form am I supposed to report this arena? You know, if I am able to identify something, obviously I'll say, okay, this is where I think they meet. But just speaking to you now, I'm conceptually finding it difficult to understand how I'm actually going to put this down in writing and report it back, because I can see those 3 things, but I can't see the intersection, and that's my problem.
So you're saying you see the 3 things, not the intersection. And I also hear you saying that there's a little bit of apprehension because it is a challenge that I brought before you. Is that right? The last part. I want to start with the last, because the last part.
It is a challenge, but practically what I want to find out from you is, how do we report back to you? You know, do I say, okay, I've seen my skills, I've seen my strengths, my passions. This is what I need to do, A, B, C, in specific terms. Maybe I need to open a law firm. Is that how you want us to report?
No, you answered it yourself. You already answered, and I'll tell you what you said. I'll tell you how you answered it. You said you know the 3 different things, but you don't know how they intersect. That's my question. You have to figure that out. I can't tell you. You're saying, how do you report it? You report it like you're reporting now. You just talked to us. You've got to figure out where they intersect. And I would challenge you with this, Cebu. If you know so well those 3 circles, you have to know how they intersect. If you don't know how they intersect, I would question how well you know those 3 circles. So yeah, I mean, seriously. So you've got to really do some inventory with those circles. I want you to take all those strengths, write them down. What do I inherently strengths? Write down the skills, write down the passions. And what I want you to report on, my arena is this place of intersection. I hear you saying you're struggling with it. You're not struggling with how to report it, Cebu. You're struggling with what it is. And that's what you've got to figure out. And I will help you. But that's the place of your power.
But it has to be specific, as in, I will open a bakery.
That's what you'll do with it. See, you're taking it somewhere else, Cebu. I only asked you to tell me where they intersect. You told us all on this call you don't know where they intersect. So that's what you got to figure out. I never asked next, after with the point of intersection, what you do in the arena. We haven't gotten to that step. All I'm asking you to do is say, identify your arena, not the 3 roads that lead to the arena. What I hear you saying is, I know the strength road, I know the skills road, and I know the passions road, but you still don't know the arena. So you're going to talk to us about the arena. And then once you've made that clear, I'm going to talk you through what you do once you're in it. You try to skip to what you do when you're in it. We still haven't identified the arena. Does everybody get what I'm saying here? It's a challenge. Most people Don't feel bad, Sibu. This is what the hard thing is. When people meet me, the older people meet, I'm gonna be very honest, the older people meet when they meet me, either they really like me or they really don't. Because it's one thing to go through this class at 25, it is, because you meet me and it's like, oh, I'm discovering myself. So it's fun, it's exciting. You meet me at, I mean, I'm not saying people, I'm not suggesting this, but let's say you're 60 or someone's 70, and I've had classes like that. It's challenging to say, who are you? What do you mean I don't know me? So I'm challenging that. And it can be bothersome to people but if you know the intersection, you know the intersection. You can report it anyway, in email and speaking, on Skype, on Instagram. But so you get what I'm going, Sibu?
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Darrell, just to continue on what Sibu is saying about the arena, is the arena a place where you see yourself, sort of like that's where you flourish, or that's what ignites you, if you think of yourself in that space?
That's good. So maybe, thank you for that, because maybe I can do a better job in helping you to report this, because I'm kind of going back to Sibu here, and explaining what is an arena. So thank you. The arena squarely is, that's what sort of even close my eyes, is the intersection of the place. It's the place of your power. You know the place of your power. It's not a role. I want to be very clear. An arena is not a role, because your arena, your roles will change in life, but the arena that I'm talking about necessarily doesn't. Because, I mean, it can to an extent, yes, you can learn more gifts, more skills. So this is an evolving thing. So work with me on that, that part. But this is definitely a place of your power. I don't want to get into whether the arena can change, but it is the place of your power. It's not just connected to, this is the job, this is the thing I'm doing. No, it is the place where, like, so I'll give you practically for me. Any role that I'm in, if it's not communication driven or dealing with people, I don't thrive. Now be careful with that. I don't mean I have to be front and center. That I'm not communication like that. Even if it's, I know some of you talk about mediation. If it's people, because that's where I shine, with people, not with machines. Even on all of the positions that I feel like I'm killing it in with people, when they give me the technology, they're like, okay, Darrell, like you got to do better. So imagine if my whole role was in that. So what I'm saying is, your arena is the place of your power, the place where you know your skills and your strengths and your passions most thrive. That's what I guess I want to say. Where do they most thrive? And you know it. Even if you don't know it immediately, you'll know it over time when it's like, I can't thrive here. That's why people end up leaving companies. It's not because it's just the money. I realize there's a space where I'm just too, almost if you think about it as constricted. If I can't fly, and whatever that fly is, it's the difference. If I can even tell you, if I could tease out arena for a second, when we get to owning your professional life, it's the difference between a CEO or a supervisor coming and telling you, this is the job. Because with a job, really, they don't just tell you what to do, they tell you how to do it. With work, they just tell you the end goal. That's the difference. The CEO just says, this is what we need. And they give you the freedom and the space. That's when you're deployed, you're flying. Most people never get that though. You see what I mean? Because that's scary too. Most people can't just handle a position where somebody says, this is the goal and you figure out the hours, because most people aren't that disciplined. They need the 9 to 5 because they won't wake up at 2 in the morning and make that call if that's what it takes. You see what I mean? So when I talk about the place of the arena, I almost think about it like a bird flapping their wings, and those wings are my strength, my skills, my passions. What places can that really thrive? Yeah.
So if I understand what you're saying, Darrell, is that the arena is not necessarily a job. It's basically your purpose in life, and finding out where you can use that purpose to serve the world, basically, and yourself, because that's the only place where you find fulfillment. And that is where the provision lies. So you're not even thinking about how much money you're going to make, because it's going to come.
Yes, I want to put this right here. Let me put this, and this is bad. I'll do better moving forward, because I want to next time. And you know, it's funny, I've been told many times about the power of visuals, and that this right here is going to make me do better with my slides, because I want to just put this up. Job versus work. I am not here to talk to you about a job. I am so serious about that. As a matter of fact, one of the recent, it was a role that I was in, and the CEO said they wanted to help a bunch of people get jobs. I said, I'm not the person. If you want them to get a job, call somebody. I really can't. I don't want to. Enough people have a job. This is the problem. Kate, I know you know this because you're over here in America too. In America, people have 3 jobs and still not fulfilled. So it's not the job. This is not about job. This is about work. Because once you identify your work, that changes the job. That changes where I live. That changes where I go. That changes the organizations I'm involved in. That changes even the school I might decide to go to, because it's all centered around my work. And because we live in a world, I say this respectfully, where so many people are focused on job and not work, when you shift to work, it's refreshing for people. So while it's challenging, you start finding there's other opportunities that come. Trust me, you find that, because so many people are so much more focused on, can I give you, all right, let me give you a real quick tip right quick. You want to know really the difference between the job and the work? This is what somebody told me once. They said, Darrell, don't let them give you a check, because that's when they got the chains on you. I said, well, how am I going to make money? Wait a minute, hold up. So wait a minute. What do you mean? They said, see, once you get the check, it shifts. And I didn't understand what that meant. No, it doesn't mean, obviously at some point you have to get paid for what you do, because I took it at first like that. But what he was saying to me was, people who look for jobs, they're leading with provision. Not recognizing, like my grandmother would say, you put the cart before the horse. When I'm focused on work, I'm focused on vision. And I know the provision will follow. It doesn't mean, yeah, I know, yeah, the millions are coming and all of that stuff is coming and all that. But with the job, you're so focused. That's why it's not about, okay, when I talk about owning the professional life, it's not a problem with going to the company saying, this is what I'm worth. But the problem is, that's people's like first question. They're not even really curious about how much I get paid. It's a mindset of, you're getting paid probably through the experience. If you're smart, you can turn what was a job into work, right? If you think about it. Because now I took this role and I shifted it maybe into a whole company now that I own. But that's a shifting of mindset. So yes, long answer to say, this is not about a job. If ever I'm speaking about a job, it is not, trust me, it's not to be derisive at any way. It's not like people have jobs. It's not that at all. It's, I want you to, I'm defined. Okay, in law school, you know how we do terms of art, where we define the terms at the beginning so we know we're all on the same page. I am defining job not in any way to demean people at all, but it is a mindset that believes and treats the role as isolated only in that separate sphere. That's my job. When I'm home, I'm done with it. I'm really only connected for the check. And once that check stops, I'm cool. But my work is a little bit deeper. And that's what we're talking about here, because that's what it ultimately takes to build something. That's what entrepreneurship is. You can't build a job, but you can build based off of your work.
Darrell?
Mm-hmm.
Just to come back to what you're saying with regards to mindset, just drawing on my own personal experience, I was an employee for 22 years at a company, and I decided after 22 years that I'm going to be an employee instead of an employee. But for me, it took at least about 1 year to 2 years to shift from that mindset from being an employee to actually own the fact that I'm an employer. Despite the fact you've got your own business, you see your brand, you see people engaging with you as sort of as a business owner. But until you yourself own that relationship, you're never going to see the value in being an entrepreneur or being an employer, because you need to make that change. And for me, it took at least, as I said, it took a while. It just didn't happen the day I handed in my resignation. I registered my company, I got my brand, my logo, everything that went with it. It took a while for me to actually come out of the mindset. It's not about the actuality of it, it's about changing the mindset. And I'm glad you actually mentioned it, because it can take a while, especially for those who are still in jobs, for you to realize that it's not going to happen overnight, and it can be a struggle. For some people it happens instantaneously, but from my own experience it took me a while, and until that happened, only then was I able to move forward in the role of an employer and entrepreneur, and start thinking like a leader and not thinking like an employee, because there is a definite change in how you approach decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know we're coming to that. We have about 10 minutes left. Thank you for that, Zarina. I wanted to leave, an opportunity for people to share. I know today was a bit, probably a lot. But trust me, you're going to get all of your money's worth as it speaks, but more importantly, your time, because you can get your money back. Can't get your time back. So next week, this is what I want. Oh, trust me, we're going to the rest of the 10 minutes, but I just want to, next week, what's my arena? That's what I'm going to be asking people. So that's going to take some real deep thought. I know I've asked for some individual assignments from like Usarena and was it Sibu? Yeah, it was Sibu. Then we talked I think I asked you something specific, right? But for everybody, yeah, what's the arena? Let's start there. Try to, if you can, I know it's a little bit rough, try to really, when I say tabula rasa, that blank slate that they talk about, really try to, when you approach, so for the last 10 minutes, let me tell you how I would like you to approach strengths, skills, and passions. I want you to not write what you think first. I really want you to think about it. So that sounded contradictory. I said, don't write what you think first. I don't want you to just rush at it, because I know you've probably, especially with skills, you've been asked before, where to get skills. I want you to really sit and think. I really want you to sit and think. And then what I want you to do is do it in order of priority. So when you tell me, when I look at what is your strengths, that first thing you write should be the number one thing. So that's what I want you to be intentional about. I don't want you to just write a bunch of stuff down. And it's 20 strengths, and it's, I don't even think I have 20 strengths. I mean, people get me when they have like 100 things and this and this and this. I'm like, oh, wow, Jesus Jr. But I just want to say, like, because what we're talking about is we all have challenges. We're talking about the things that we really are great at, the things we really excel. Because I want to give you a marker here. For strengths it isn't a bunch of stuff. I want you to write and even write it in order. So 3 questions I want you to write very quickly. Number 1, strengths. What have I been complimented on for as long as I can remember? What have I been complimented on for as long as I can remember? I'm talking about from birth. As long as you remember, I got complimented on. It might have nothing to do with strengths, but still write it down. It's going to get you thinking. Secondly, what's my third hand? What's just natural to me? Third hand, easy inclination. What's my third hand? What's my third hand? Thirdly, what comes easy to me that I know comes difficult to others? I know it's easy to me, and it's really always been easy to me, but I know it's also difficult to others. Speaking is that thing, like the way some people just fear it, it's like, oh, I love to do it. That's a sign, just as simple as that. You don't have, that manifested at 4 years old. We don't have to go to, when I was 15. Those 3 questions I asked you, I don't even want you to think past 15. I want you to just go to before the world told you what you couldn't be. Before they told you that strength wasn't going to make you money, so it didn't matter. I want you to go back. That's why I want you to go back to those 3 things. What was I complimented on most? That, people just complimented me on. Rather you think it's a strength or not, whatever, just put it there. Secondly, what's my third hand? The thing I'm just naturally good at. Thirdly, what comes easy to me? I know it just comes easy to me, but I see other people struggle with it. And I don't even know why they struggle with it, because for me, it's like, yeah, I just did it. I see people dance. I'm like, how do they remember all those steps? Like after the 3rd turn, I'm done. I just don't know how, and they remember where they put their feet and all that. But the same way for me, I can see 1,000 words in the air when I'm speaking because I literally see it. People say, well, why don't you have notes? It's like, well, why would I need notes? Because it's in my head and it's there. But these are things that's why we can't boast about it, because it was given unto us. It's not like it's my, oh, I'm just like they're that good with that, I'm this good with that. So I want to start with that bubble. What are those things? I want you to think deeply. And I'm gonna give you pushback if the first thing you mention isn't something that you can stand by as the number one thing, because that's essentially what I'm asking you to write now under strength. The number one thing you know I'm strong in. Like if all else failed and I got dropped on Mars, not Mars, let me make it price, excuse me, or like Mali, literally, or Malaysia. What do I know I can still do? Like I know if they give me a mic, no matter where I am, I know I can make some money. You need to know that about you. That's very important to know. This isn't about being boastful, but what is that thing? So that's kind of what I'm getting at. Now let's shift to skills, because I don't want this to be a resume skills thing. And people get me with that too, areas of expertise. They got all these things. No, what are the skills that you're particularly adept at? What are the things that because we're talking next level now. Was it Victor? Is Victor the doctor here? All right, we're talking not just, I do it good, I do it great. That's what we're talking, next level, Victor. You went to the next level with the doctorate. People keep asking me, say, you're gonna get a doctorate. I said, if they give it to me for honorary, yes, I'll be a doctor, but I'm not. No, but so under skills, I really would like if you didn't put any more than 7. So that'll help you, again, prioritize them, to not put these general things, oh, I'm nice, I'm comforting. No. What are specific skills that you could get paid for? Because that's what we're talking about, provision now, right? And then when you get to passions, you don't have to spend as much time on this because we're going to tease all this out later. Passions, I want you to start thinking about fulfillment. This is the one question I want you to write there. The only question I want you to write. If money were no issue, provision, money, no issue. I had all the money in the world. What would I spend my time doing? That's really what I want you to answer under passion. So that way it doesn't get kitsch like, oh, I love children. No. If you had all the money, you had a trust fund. So it wasn't about money now. You just had to spend the time, because at some point you got to get out of bed, even if you got $1 billion. I loved, right? They asked Oprah. Oprah asked, what's the guy's name at CNN? Anderson Cooper, because he's of the Vanderbilts. And she said, it's so neat that you're an anchor. And he said, well, yeah, because, his mother's Gloria Vanderbilt and he comes in all this money. And he said, yeah. She said, because, most people who wouldn't have to work, they wouldn't work like you're working. He said, but who doesn't have to work? And she said, well, what do you mean? Like you were born into this wealth. But I guarantee Oprah's talking about work like the world calls work, but Anderson Cooper's talking about work like you and me are explaining work. Who doesn't have to work? Everybody has an assignment. So when we start talking about passion, that's why I want to divorce it totally from skills. I want to divorce it totally from strengths. And I want to put it squarely in the area of fulfillment, that if money were nothing and you just wanted to spend your time, I don't even want to say serve the world, none of that, because people get superficial. Just you wanted to spend your time, what would it be? That's going to tell me something about you. Because if all you want to do is watch Netflix, no judgment, but that lets me know, oh, okay. So you see what I'm giving you guiding stars for those 3. And once you've gone through that, and this is going to take some time from that strengths, skills, all those questions I've asked, and passions, you'll have a better idea when you come to, let's go back to that middle. I'm coming back to you, Cebu. What's that place of intersection? Because now I'm not just asking generally, strengths, skills, passions. I'm really asking one bubble, what's the one thing you could do if all else fails? What's the things that you've been complimented on, all that? And I'm taking it to now the things you've been taught in. Because now that means somebody else saw it. I didn't even touch that with skills. That's the power of that. That means maybe it was a gift you didn't even notice, but they saw it. That's why you learned the skill, because somebody put you in that class. Somebody taught you that language. Somebody learned. So that's a whole nother arena. That's the fish not even knowing it's in water. And then that's passions. That's the thing that keeps you just up at night. some things that just make you cry, like, dang, yeah, I'm making all this money here. I know I can make money doing this, but I just want to serve the world here. Once we come to that intersection, boy, now we're in the arena. Now we're in the arena, okay? I know we got a minute left. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, but it yeah, it is a challenge. And you've just explained my dilemma. I can see my skills, I can see my what's the other one? Strengths all intersecting at some point, but that is about livelihood and making money. That is separate from passion, and that's that's my challenge. I know I have my passions and I know them, but to link that to the other two is, but that's the challenge I suppose you are giving us.
Yep, and just start with what I've asked and we'll go from there. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Thank you. I do want to say this, if you can join on the camera next time, no, I understand people can, and I know sometimes if it costs more, let me ask that, because I want to be respectful of that. Does it cost more to be on camera? Are you using more like bandwidth? Okay. So I want to be respectful of asking that. I will just say, I do think it more helps you, let's say if you're on camera, but that is no pressure because I understand you already invested in this, right? But what I do definitely need is definitely make sure you do the assignments. And when we come next week, I'm definitely asking you to report on it. Rahima will tell you, these aren't things I'm just asking. And then we just kind of next week forget no, I'm going to be asking and challenging, because this is a part of, this is like the coach and the weights in the gym. And y'all see me, I got to get back in the gym. So we're all learning and challenging and growing. All right. Next week, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Darrell.
you.
Thanks so much. All right, I'll get the recording from you, Lisa.
Yes. Can I send it to everybody as well, Darrell?
Of course.
Okay.
I want you to send it to everyone.
Yeah. I'll send it to everybody, yes.